Yes. So you'll find in our big ideas, so that's at arc-invest.com, the building blocks for our price forecast. And our base case is in the $600,000 range. Our bull case, and we think the probability of the bull case has increased with this SEC approval. This is a green light. Our bull case is $1.5 million by 2030. You can see the building blocks. You can see how conservative we are in terms of those building blocks. This is a big idea. It is the first global, decentralized, digital, rules-based, critical there, rules-based monetary system in history. It is a very big idea. Yes, our first paper on this was in 2015. The white paper is still on our site. And we tried to figure out, could Bitcoin serve the three roles of money? Store of value, as you say, most people agree with that one. Means of exchange, unit of account. And the answer to that was yes. We put out a Bitcoin brainstorm with our partner Bitcoin Park in Nashville. And it examines the convergence of artificial intelligence and Bitcoin. And you'll hear his nickname's Roast Beef on that podcast talk about that convergence and how it's going to redefine the division of labor. It's probably going to put the gig economy on steroids. And it's starting already in the emerging markets, in Africa in particular. So it's very exciting. I don't think people understand how hard at work the developers around the world have been. Lightning Network is a big part of leveraging the base layer Bitcoin. So we're very excited. And we're so happy that ARKB is going to be part of the ecosystem.
하크 투자 회사의 캐시우드는 앞으로 몇 년 동안 비트코인은 40배로 뛰면서 요즘 시세에서 150만 달러로 뛴다고 합니다. 캐시는 2015년에 비트코인을 처음 샀습니다. 당시 비트코인은 $250였죠. 캐시는 이 엄청난 기회를 포착한 첫 기관 투자자 중 한 명입니다. 10년 후 캐시의 회사 아크는 비트코인 출시가 승인됐습니다. 이번 주 인터뷰에서 캐시는 지금만큼 비트코인에 확신이 든 적이 없다고 했습니다. 2023년에 이렇게 말했었습니다. 비트코인은 지역은행 위기 속에서 가격이 오르자 고비를 맞고 이야기가 바뀌기 시작했어요. 더는 자산에 대한 위험만 있는 게 아니라 비트코인은 기술에 걸고 세계화 통화체계는 계속 디지털화될 거라는 얘기입니다. 비트코인은 인플레이션과 달러 평가 절하를 막아주면서 위험도 막아줍니다. 캐시는 수익에 관한 한 위험 부담이 크다고 보고 있습니다. 경쟁은 없고 캐시가 영상 마지막에 자신의 심정을 털어놓는 장면이 나오죠. 캐시우드가 비트코인이 앞으로 몇 년간 성공할 거라고 믿는 이유를 말해주고 있습니다.
Yes, typically in a situation like this where there are a lot of competitors, the market consolidates. So we would expect that to happen. We hope and trust that we will be one of the winners. And I think from our point of view, we have some competitive advantages. A lot of people are talking about fees, and I'll get to that, but there are three competitive advantages that I think are very important. One is our infrastructure and operations. Our partner 21 Shares has built this infrastructure and been operating 40 different funds through booms and busts, through halvings and forks and airdrops, and and through periods that the ETF industry just has never seen. So our infrastructure is battle tested. The second is research. As you know, we give all of our research away. Our first blog on Bitcoin was the year of our founding, 2014. Our first white paper, Bitcoin, Could It Serve the Three Roles of Money? We did in collaboration with Art Laffer in 2015, and we gained our first exposure in Bitcoin at $250 and have never left it. We think the story has just begun. So we've been putting prolific research out there, and now we have a Bitcoin monthly report and a Bitcoin brainstorm monthly. So we continue to give our research away, as does our partner 21 Shares. And then the third, and this is not to be underestimated, the third competitive advantage we have is a sales force that started selling our exposure to Bitcoin in 2016. That's when we partnered with Resolute Investment Management. And I remember in the early days, they were saying, oh my goodness, what is this? What's Bitcoin? And so they had to figure out what Bitcoin was, and they paid a lot of attention to our research, and they have developed conviction. I mean, Bitcoin's been a marvelous investment. I don't think there will be 11 spot Bitcoin ETFs. Some may close, some may be consolidated into bigger companies. The more pure play companies may be bought out by the larger players who need more of that expertise in-house. So I do think the process of closing and consolidation will take us down to 3, maybe 4, but more likely 3. Well, you'll see that we did, even before today, we scaled out of GBTC as the discount narrowed so dramatically into ProShares Bitcoin futures. So let's say as a first stop, I can't talk about what we are doing or are going to do in the future, but logic would suggest that we'd be making another move at some point. So that we will not lose exposure to Bitcoin. We're probably more excited about the possibility of price appreciation now that despite the controversy, the SEC has given a spot Bitcoin ETF the green light. I think finally institutions will feel more comfortable stepping in. And what's so interesting right now is that already outstanding, there are, I think it's 19.6 million Bitcoin. There will never be any more than 21 million. 15 million of that 19.6 are in what we call strong hands. Their wallets have not moved Bitcoin in 155 days or more. That's 75% of the outstanding. So now we believe there's going to become, as institutions enter, real scarcity value. And each dollar moving in will have more of an outsized impact now than it did before we got the green light. And what Vanguard is doing is basically saying, the world's not going to change. These new financial rails are not going to be successful. We're still going to have 7 middlemen between merchants and consumers, each one taking a toll. And we just don't think that's going to prove correct. Truth always wins out. Innovation solves problems. There's a lot of friction in the financial system. And we believe that Bitcoin, blockchain technology generally are going to take a lot of the friction out of the system. The other reason I think this is a terrible mistake is, they're going to deprive the investors who stay with them of really the first global, decentralized, private, no government oversight, rules-based, critical phrase there, monetary policy, monetary system in history. My mentor, Art Laffer, you may know him from the Laffer curve. He's also a monetary scholar. He said, this is what I have been waiting for 50 years since they closed the gold window in 1971. He is so excited about this new asset class. And that is the other mistake I think that Vanguard is making. It's depriving its clients of access to a new asset class. And what do we know about new asset classes? Well, if it's truly non-correlated or exhibits very low correlation of returns to other assets, then what a diversification into this new asset class will enable is increased return per unit of risk. That I think that advisors have a fiduciary responsibility to look at this new asset class. And to the extent they're working with Vanguard, they will be prohibited. So again, I think it's a strategic blunder. But again, we're all about disruptive innovation. That's all we do.
Right.
This is the most profound disruptive innovation taking place in the world today. Yes, our base case is roughly 600,000. Our bull case, and we think the probability of the bull case has gone up now that institutions have the green light. Our bull case is closer to $1.5 million in the next 10 years. So what the biggest risk we were running was our regulators chasing innovation from American shores. And so that was the biggest risk we were concerned about. I think after 2022 and all the crises we saw back then, including the bankruptcy and unwinding an ultimate bankruptcy of FTX, that actually proved the case for Bitcoin. You know, it's interesting. Sam Bankman-Fried did not like Bitcoin. Why didn't he like it? Well, it's a completely decentralized network. It's completely transparent. You can watch wallets move Bitcoin from one address to the other. And you look at FTX, it was completely centralized, completely opaque, and it turns out completely fraudulent. So I think in terms of the risks to Bitcoin, the regulators have been so staunchly opposed, mostly Gary Gensler, I would submit, but there is another regulator opposed, that I think we have studied and, you know, done as much due diligence about the health of this network. That's why we put out a Bitcoin monthly, that it would be very difficult to perpetrate fraud in the base layer of Bitcoin. Any of the hacks you've heard about are on applications built on top of the base layer, and those are software errors that enable the hackers in. But the base layer, which is the monetary system, after all, has not been hacked. So I think that the regulators, while it was very frustrating, and while the courts had to make some rulings in here, the regulatory resistance, I think.
캐시우드는 비트코인의 가치가 40배 증가할 것으로 예상되며 향후 동전당 150만 달러에 이를 것으로 예상된다고 합니다. 이는 잠재적 가능성에 대한 확신을 뒷받침합니다. 2015년 초기 비트코인 투자 당시 250달러밖에 안 됐던 아크가 출시됐을 때였죠. 캐시는 암호화폐 공간에서 위험을 포용하는 일에 오늘 인터뷰에서 자신의 자신감을 재확인하며 비트코인의 진화와 새로운 역할을 강조합니다. 온 엔드 리스크 이용과 비활성화요. 비트코인의 이중성을 기술적 도박으로 보고 인플레이션과 위험 대비책에 대한 그녀의 통찰은 마무리하면서 주목할 만합니다. 이건 디지털 자산의 세계로 향하는 변화의 시작일 뿐임을 기억하세요. 캐시의 관점은 광범위한 가능성의 창을 열어줍니다. 영상이 도움이 되셨으면 구독과 좋아요 부탁드리겠습니다. 비트세븐이었습니다.